So a lot of people have been talking about the possibility of Mephisto being introduced into the MCU through WandaVision. Now, Mephisto did play a role in the comic story that WandaVision is based on, but Mephisto is an obscure character in Marvel. He's really not seen all that often in comics, so there's a good chance that if you're new to comics, or you're just fans of the MCU, you probably don't really know who he is. So I figured I'd make a video on who he is, what his powers are, and how he relates to WandaVision. Personally, I don't think he will be in WandaVision. I mean, he's basically the devil, which is why people went all crazy with Mephisto theories after this line in WandaVision.
The devil's in the details, Bev.
That's not the only place he is.
At the end of the day, though, Marvel is owned by Disney. And I don't know if Disney would sign off on adding a devil character to the MCU, but I could easily be wrong. Mephisto might actually be the one who's pulling all the strings in WandaVision. No idea. First, let's start with who or what he is. So Mephisto is a demon, but more specifically, he's a Hell Lord. And in Marvel Comics, there are several Hell Lords. They all compete with each other over power, and the way that they gain power is by obtaining the souls of the living. But the person has to agree to allow Mephisto to take their soul, and he typically does this by making deals with them or tricking them. Usually these deals turn out pretty crappy for that person. And you're probably thinking, so yeah, he is the devil. But no, not really. Think of him more as just being another being from a different dimension, similar to Dormammu.
Mamu, I've come to bargain.
He does call his realm Hell, but he only does this because he wants people to think that he is the devil from the Bible. And he'll often refer to himself as Satan or the devil, but he just plays off this. Because in society, people have this idea that they can make deals with the devil, and this will help them, with personal gains to be super rich or whatever their dream is. But he's not Satan from Christianity. Marvel typically stays away from connecting their characters with any mainstream religions. Mephisto himself is wildly powerful, especially in his own realm. His powers include, the typical powers with enhanced strength, speed, durability. He's immortal, which doesn't mean he can't be killed. He certainly can. It just means he won't die from any natural causes like old age or sickness. He has ability for reality manipulation, so basically reality warping in a sense, but to a smaller degree. He has magic manipulation, which gives him control over magic, and this gives him a whole nother slew of powers such as, flight, invisibility, teleportation, image projections, and he can change his own size and density. He can time travel, but to an unknown degree. But one of his strongest abilities, and what he's probably best known for, but how good he can manipulate people to do his own bidding. I mean, he's highly intelligent. He always has some sort of long game that he's playing. One good example of how Mephisto can be a tricky little devil is when he tricked the demon Zarathos, also known as the Spirit of Vengeance, by using a being that had no soul, which greatly depowered the demon. And after Mephisto defeated Zarathos, he then wanted to mock him. And the best way to mock anyone is to put them into the body of a carny. Not just a carny stuntman named Johnny Blaze. And that is how Marvel's first Ghost Rider was born. Which unfortunately led to that terrible movie. Anyway, getting back to Mephisto's powers. His power is closely tied with his realm, which he's most powerful in, but the longer he stays out of his realm, the weaker he becomes. And I don't want to understate his strength. He's close to being at the same level of power as a cosmic entity, but he's nowhere close to being at Galactus level. The two have actually battled before, and Galactus gave him a pretty good beatdown. In comics, he's probably best known for taking Dr. Doom's mother's soul, and then that followed up with years of Doom scheming to get her out, and eventually he does free his mother, with the help of Doctor Strange. Mephisto was also involved in the Infinity Gauntlet comic, which is what Infinity Wars Endgame is based off. He tricks Thanos into believing that he was somehow tied to the Infinity Stones in a way to gain his trust, and kind of becomes Thanos' right-hand man after he has all the stones. So why do people think Mephisto is going to be in WandaVision? Well, Mephisto is a big fan of torturing souls, and he kind of took an interest on gaining the souls of superheroes and people with a pure soul. So in the Fantastic Four story in 1985, Mephisto captures the souls of Susan, Reed, and their son Franklin Richards, and he takes them down to his realm. And if you're unaware, Franklin is stupid OP. Even in the story, he's still just a small child, but he has reality warping powers on a universal scale. I mean, he's probably the most powerful being on Earth, and maybe even the universe. Even Mephisto is scared of him, which begs the question, why would Mephisto even bring a being like Franklin to his realm if he knew he could destroy him? And the answer is, because comics. But to be safe, Mephisto locks Franklin in a crystal, and then just begins torturing Reed and Susan. Doctor Strange eventually shows up and frees Franklin. And Franklin, seeing his parents in such pain, unleashes just his full powers on Mephisto. I mean, he just explodes him away. And this seemingly kills Mephisto. It will be interesting to see if they introduce Franklin to the MCU. When they finally do bring the Fantastic Four, his powers are a bit overwhelming for movies, but he does have some great stories that I think would translate well on the screen. Anyway, well, Franklin blew up Mephisto. They assumed he was dead, but what actually happened was Franklin just blew up Mephisto's soul or essence into 5 pieces. This is where Wanda steps in. She wanted kids, but being married to Vision, who's a synthezoid, it wasn't possible. So she magically impregnated herself. She gives birth to twins, Thomas and William. But later on, Agatha Harkness, who was Wanda's mentor and trainer in magic, shows up and says, "Hey Wanda, these kids aren't real. You just basically made them up." And what these kids are really is that they're actually just 2 of the 5 pieces of Mephisto's soul. Yeah, no, it's really weird. Wanda didn't intend for this to happen. She was just trying to use her magic to impregnate herself, but that magic needed some sort of soul for it to really work, and it just so happens that parts of Mephisto's soul were kind of just floating out there. Mephisto then tricks a character by the name of Master of Pandemonium to go retrieve the 2 kids from Wanda and bring them back to Mephisto, and when he does, Mephisto just reabsorbs them back into himself. Obviously this is pretty crushing to Wanda, that she just lost her 2 kids and they were actually just the soul of a devil. Probably pretty shocking news for any mother. So Agatha, who's believed to be the Agnes character, wipes Wanda's mind of her ever having kids, just to keep her mental state from going off the edge. And that brings us into the House of M story that I've already done a video on. The House of M story is what really WandaVision is kind of loosely based on, and Mephisto isn't part of that story at all. So that's a quick explanation of who Mephisto is, what he can do, and how he kind of relates to WandaVision. Hope you guys liked it. If you guys did, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.